NBA playoffs are here 2019. Let's get it, guys. Now let's look at the Eastern Conference matchups to line up first. We got Milwaukee, the number 1 seed, against the Detroit Pistons, the number 8 seed, led by ex-Raptor coach Dwayne Casey. And honestly, it does not look good for the Pistons with Blake Griffin missing tons of games with that knee injury at the end of the season. Even games that were important for them to get into the playoffs, he missed. He missed the final game against the Knicks, even though they won that game to get into the playoffs. He did not play. And honestly, without a healthy 100% Blake Griffin, I don't see the Bucks losing even one game in this series. The Bucks won the regular season 4-0 against the Pistons, and I see them sweeping the Pistons off the court. Giannis is unguardable because the Pistons have nobody to throw on him. You're going to throw Blake Griffin, Drummond. They're terrible matchups against a guy that fast, that agile, that mobile, and that strong. It's going to be tough. You can put big men to match up with the strength, but the speed, there's no chance. I see Giannis wreaking havoc, and it's going to be 4 games easy. No Malcolm Brogdon in this series at this round at all. Maybe we'll come back at the end of the second round, but it's going to be tough for the Bucks without their 50, 40, 90 guy, Malcolm Brogdon, who is a steady ship for their team. Expect Bledsoe to pick up the slack and George Hill, but this should be easy for them. The next matchup, the one I love, Toronto Raptors, the number 2 seed, against the Orlando Magic, number 7 seed. I see the Raptors winning this series in 5 games, taking care of business in Game 5 at home. The season series went 2-2 split, but the Raptors did not play Kyle Lowry in one of them where they lost, and Kawhi Leonard in one of them which they lost. So the 2 games that they lost, they didn't have their full roster. But one of the games was close, but Danny Green hit the game winner on that baseline to win it. So they do play them tough, and the Orlando Magic are on fire. They're a good defensive team, ranked 5th in opponents' points per game. So they're a tough defensive-minded team with tons of length. But I just think them making the playoffs was their accomplishment. It would be tough for them to compete with the Raptors' high-octane offense and their 3-point shooting. So I think the Raptors will take this game in 5 games. I give the Magic 1 game for either Terrence Ross, Evan Fournier, or maybe Vucevic catching fire. Otherwise, it's an early sweep for them, a gentleman's sweep. Now this series, it can go either way. Philadelphia, the 3rd seed, against the Brooklyn Nets, the 6th seed. Now this series depends entirely on Joel Embiid's health. Now he is missing a few games lately with that sore left knee, and honestly, if that knee is not good and healthy for these playoffs, I can maybe see a struggle in the first round, and they'll probably get out with like 6 games. But if Embiid's there, I see the Brooklyn Nets don't even stand a chance, and they probably lose in 5 games. I give D'Angelo Russell 1 game, so expecting D'Angelo Russell and them to be on fire, I expect them to win 1 game. But if Joel Embiid, I'm expecting to be healthy, they'll win in 5 games. So Philadelphia in 5 games should be enough. The guard matchup is going to be important in this series. Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Lo have to do their damage from the outside, because Jared Allen can only hold off Embiid for so long, and he's going to get in foul trouble all game long. So it's going to be a tough matchup for him. Ed Davis is going to get tons of burn against a guy like Embiid, and Ed Davis has a tendency to foul a lot, which is going to be a problem because there's not a lot of bigs on this Brooklyn Nets team. So they gotta make sure they play without fouling and probably double Embiid off the bat. Now the 4 and 5 matchup, the Boston Celtics, number 4 seed, against the Indiana Pacers, the number 5 seed. I expected the Pacers to lose their home court advantage since they had a tough remaining schedule for the season after the All-Star break, but the Celtics have not been playing well. They recently lost to Orlando as well. They just lost Marcus Smart with an injury. He'll be probably out until late second round, or maybe not even then. It's a 4 to 6 week injury. He's been out, I believe, a week or 2. So expecting to be back probably midway in the second round, or at the end of the second round. So they're really losing their best defender. And against the Indiana Pacers, he would have been perfect to throw on Bogdanovic. But I expect the Pacers, who are gritty, physical, and a hard-working team, to give the Celtics their money's worth. I expect the Celtics to win this series in 6 games. There's just too much talent on this one team for them to be out in the first round. The series was 3-1 for the Celtics, so I don't see the Celtics really struggling in winning this series, but the Celtics have not been motivated and have not been focused, so I expect them to be a little bit of a longer series than needed. The Celtics are going to get beat up inside with Miles Turner and Sabonis crashing the glass every opportunity they get. Without Oladipo, the Pacers don't have a chance, I believe. 6 games. I expect Bogdanovic and Miles Turner to really contribute big time on the offensive end, and Thaddeus Young, who will be key in this series. But the Celtics are way too stacked, so they'll win this series. Moving on to the Western Conference. First, the Golden State Warriors against the Los Angeles Clippers. It's done. Don't even think about it. 4-game sweep. The Warriors are a terrible matchup for the Clippers. They can just shoot the lights out. The Clippers are a high 3-point shooting team, but the Warriors are the perfect versions of that. And they'll absolutely smoke them from the outside. One question I do have: how healthy is Steph Curry? He did turn his ankle recently, missed the last game of the season, and how healthy is he will depend. But even without Steph Curry, which I don't know if they'll even play game 1, I think the Warriors will have no trouble against the Clippers. A 4-game sweep is what I expect. The Warriors did win the season series 3-1, but their most recent win was a blowout against the Clippers. They just burned them for 130 points, and Steph Curry was on fire. So I do expect them to just absolutely wipe him off the court. Lou Williams can only carry them so far, but can't do much if you don't have enough talent compared to the Warriors. Next series, we got the Denver Nuggets, the number 2 seed, against the San Antonio Spurs, the 7th seed. A terrible matchup for the Nuggets because the Spurs really wanted the Nuggets, and the Spurs with Greg Popovich at the helm are a tough team no matter who they have on the roster. And the Denver Nuggets do have the best player in the series in Nikola Jokic, but the second and third best player in this series goes to the Spurs. DeMar DeRozan and Aldridge are the 2 best players after Jokic, and with the Spurs having one guy that's able to break people off the dribble with DeMar, it's going to be tough for the Nuggets. The Spurs have to slow this game down, make it a slower paced game for them to win this series. The Nuggets got to speed up that tempo, start running them out of the building, use your young legs, and just to keep attacking on the fast break for them to have any hope in this series. But the Nuggets have been slumping going into the playoffs, and the Spurs have been playing playoff basketball to get into that 7th seed spot. So it's going to be a tough series. I expect the Spurs to win this series in 6 games. The upset. I know I am a partial bias for the Spurs because I love that team and Tim Duncan is my favorite player, but I just don't see the Nuggets, with their lack of experience, being able to beat a Greg Popovich coach team. I may be wrong, but I believe with my gut that this is going to happen. The 3rd seed Portland Trailblazers against the Oklahoma City Thunder. A poor matchup for the Portland Trailblazers, who tried losing out on their last game of the season to fall to that 4th seed by playing only 6 guys, and 6 guys who barely play or never play actually any minutes in the regular season, with guys like Skal Labissiere and Fernie Simmons playing major minutes, dropping career highs everywhere. 48 minutes these guys were playing, which was extreme. But the Kings bench let them down, giving up a 25-point halftime lead and losing the game, which led the Blazers to get the 3rd seed once again. But matched up against the OKC Thunder, a terrible matchup. OKC swept the series 4-0 in the regular season, and Westbrook dominates Damian Lillard. So this is a bad matchup all around. But Portland, there is some hope. You're hoping for a team win. You built your bench because the Raptors of last year is what the Blazers are of this year. They're more bench oriented. They have multiple guys producing. Their bench is stronger with Seth Curry and Jake Layman and Evan Turner and those guys really chipping in off the bench. Enes Kanter does move to the starting lineup, and Steven Adams is going to have his way on offense against Enes Kanter, who's a poor defender. My key for this series is the backcourt play of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. CJ McCollum came off a knee injury, which kept him out a major part of the season. But you know what? I believe in the Blazers to put up a good fight. But the OKC Thunder with Westbrook and Paul George and those boys are just too much for the Blazers. And I expect them to win this series in 5 games. There's no Nurkic. So without Nurkic, I would have gave the Blazers a better chance of winning this series. Probably the Thunder in 7 if Nurkic was actually playing, because this is just a bad matchup. But without Nurkic in the middle, there's no offensive threat from your big man wise. So honestly, I have Adams and the boys inside dominating the glass and just taking it to them. Westbrook will lead the charge and dominate Damian Lillard and those guys. A 5-game series. Sorry to see the Blazers go out again. But if Nurkic was just healthy this time around, they just got unlucky. This could have been a better series. Wrapping up the last series of the Western Conference, the 4th-seeded Houston Rockets against the 5th-seeded Utah Jazz. The Jazz rely on their tough-minded defense, and the Rockets, as you know, James Harden and his MVP-type season. Offensively, they are a juggernaut. So it's the best offense against the best defense in the clash, and I expect it to be a long series. They split the series 2-2 in the regular season, but I expect the Rockets to win this series in 6 games. This is probably the toughest matchup because the Rockets just need to hit the lights off from 3-point line to win this series. The Jazz need to run the Rockets off the 3-point line, and the Rockets don't stop at mid-range shots, so they run to the rim and try getting layups and dunks, and they just gotta filter the Rockets all towards Rudy Gobert, who is the best shot blocker and rim defender in the NBA. So I expect the Jazz to execute that, but the Jazz struggle hitting the 3 ball, and Donovan Mitchell's gotta trust his guys to hit the 3-point shot. He can't take bad shots. He's gotta put up good looking shots, because he can go into those 8 of 24 games, which are gonna kill the Jazz. You need Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder to hit those 3-point shots. Kyle Korver is going to get abused on the other end. So you just got to make sure you don't give up too many points on that end. And Ricky Rubio is key in this series. He's got to play a masterful game, especially on the offensive end. He's got to spread the floor, because Chris Paul is going to disrespect him and help off and try doubling Donovan Mitchell whenever he can. So the Jazz got to make sure they play efficiently and hit the 3 ball with efficiency. Joe Ingles is going to be key. He's probably the primary defender on James Harden. So it's going to be interesting to see how they defend him. You just saw Patrick Beverley trying to give Jay Crowder a few tips on how to defend James Harden, but everybody's been trying all season long. It's a tough task, to say the least. He led the NBA in scoring 36 points a game, so he's impossible to guard. And you just can't foul him. You just got to filter to Rudy Gobert. Gobert can't get into foul trouble in this series, as he needs to be the dominating factor on the defensive end for the Jazz. That wraps it up in terms of all the playoff matchups. And honestly, it's going to be a great first round. Expect to see tons of fireworks, tons of upsets. But I still expect the top 4 in the East to make it. And everybody else in the top in the West is going to make it, except the Spurs, I believe, will come out on top. But let's just go through it quickly. From the West, I expect the Warriors to come out and face an easy team, which is the Houston Rockets. Great matchup there. I just don't think the Rockets have enough to beat a Warriors team at this magnitude. I say Warriors winning in 6 games. I give Harden 2 fire games where he's absolutely lights out, but they can't compete with DeMarcus Cousins down low. He absolutely destroys Capella. And then KD, Curry, and Klay Thompson, when they're playing at all cylinders, they're just impossible to stop. And then I see OKC against Portland, and that's not really an upset. I expected OKC to beat a Nurkic-less Portland team. So that's a joke of a matchup right there. I feel bad for the Blazers. The Blazers should have been making huge noise in the playoffs, but without Nurkic, there's no hope. So I expect the Thunder to move on, and the Thunder will face the Spurs. The Thunder will beat the Spurs. Westbrook absolutely dominates against the Spurs in past history. Spurs cannot guard a point guard. So OKC will face the Warriors in the finals of the Western Conference, and the Warriors are just too stacked of a team. They beat the Thunder in 6 games and just force Westbrook to have these bad nights where you just can't win. The Raptors will face Philadelphia in the second round. I had the Raptors going through, making it to the conference finals, because I just believe Philly cannot match up well against the Raptors. Kawhi shuts down Ben Simmons. Jimmy Butler is a Raptor killer, but I just don't see how they implement Tobias Harris efficiently in that series. And the Raptors have been playing as a great cohesive unit. I just think they just overpower them offensively. And then Milwaukee against Boston. I think it's their time, and Giannis will take care of business. Just destroy Al Horford and whoever else is matched up with him. It's Giannis' season to lose, so I expect him to get through that series as well. Against Giannis against Toronto, going to be a tough series. I'm going to pick my hometown boys, of course. Toronto in 7 against the Bucks to make it to the finals. I had Giannis and them beating the Boston Celtics in 6, and the Raptors beating the 76ers in 6, just to round that out. And that's all it takes. Warriors in the finals against the Raptors. Whew, huge matchup right there. The winner of this series wins the championship. And you know what? The team that wins this is pretty obvious. It's the Raptors. The Raptors win in 7 games against the Warriors. Call me biased, call me optimistic, call me dreaming. I say the Raptors win this game. Whether you think I'm delusional or not, the Raptors match up well with the Warriors, and the Raptors do play the Warriors well in the regular season, and I expect the Raptors to just take care of business. They have home court advantage against the Warriors. The Raptors just win every single home game. The Raptors should win this series. Raptors in 7. Book it. Raptors win the championship 2019. Kawhi Leonard is your finals MVP, and he stays next season. Can't have a better picturesque ending than that. Storybook ending. Raptors win the championship, and that's how the playoffs roll. Like, share, and subscribe to the Raptors Wrap Up, guys. Until next time, peace. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the Raptors Wrap Up. Smash that like button, guys. Until next time, deuces.